I remember back when I first heard of Uber Eats. I had first moved here to Washington, and it was right after the apocalypse. And I was like, you know what? I can totally go and do that. And I did do it for a couple of days. I had a lot of fun with it for a little bit, and then I realized that it's not lucrative. It's just not lucrative because of the way that the systems are put into place for the drivers. You would figure that going from one restaurant to someone's home would yield a little bit more money than just the couple dollars that Uber paid you, but ultimately it didn't because they, well, suck. But then you have DoorDash and other competitors, but specifically DoorDash, which guarantees you a minimum of $6.50 per delivery. And I've talked to DoorDash drivers who like the fact that it pays more than Uber Eats, but absolutely hate the company for how it handles tips and how it kind of emotionally attacks you if you choose to like not accept an order. And I'm not even kidding you. You will get a notification and then you will deny the notification or decline the order. And then it sends you a message like, you missed this order. It's going to be sent to somebody else. It's designed in a way to emotionally manipulate you in order to take every order that comes along, whether it's good or bad, depending on your distance to the location of not only the restaurant, but then also the person. But its tipping scheme is something that is even abhorrently worse. And they finally say that they're sorry, even though a couple weeks ago they doubled the hell down on this. It says here that food delivery app DoorDash has for months doubled down on its policy to systematically skimming customer tips meant for its fleet of contract delivery workers. That is true. That resolve cracked Tuesday night when CEO Tony Xu took to Twitter to announce some unspecified changes to its compensation model. And this next paragraph here, this is legitimately how DoorDash operates, and it is terrible when you look at how they did it. It says here, DoorDash offers its delivery drivers a guaranteed payout for each order. Upfront, a flat $1 per order plus additional compensation calculated by some kind of malign algorithm. So if a driver is told they'll make up $8 upfront for an order, they'll always receive at least $8. But if the customer receiving that order gives the drivers a $4 tip, DoorDash would treat it as a credit towards the original guaranteed $8, meaning the driver would still only get 8. The only circumstance in which a customer's tip would actually go to the driver is if it was very generous. And that is true. A lot of times what happens is that you will get and you can even look at the breakdown. I've seen this from friends of mine who do DoorDash, and they'll show you like the base pay of $1, customer tip of $5, and then like 50 cents is what DoorDash will pay you to make up that minimum. And the thing is, the customers don't know this. The customers don't know that that tip is being applied to the order. They think that they're paying for the delivery fee and then the tip on top of that. The way it works ultimately is that if they tip after the fact, then they don't. That doesn't get applied to the credit. Then that goes to the driver. It's a very, very, very convoluted system, and one that a lot of customers have literally zero idea happens. And a lot of DoorDash drivers have actually been telling the customers about this when they drop off the food. Again, I've met a few in my area, and I get a pretty interesting take on what's going on. Now, going on to say here, in other words, DoorDash customers were essentially conned into tipping DoorDash, not the driver. Again, very true. This is vaguely similar to the tip model for many restaurant employees across the country who have tips applied towards a portion of their minimum wage standard, except abstracted through an app and imposed on a contract workforce with few labor protections. Yeah. You always hear about this from restaurant workers, right? The federal minimum wage is $7.25. In some states, though, they don't have that applied towards restaurant staff, so they get like maybe a minimum wage of $2.50 an hour or something along those lines, and then their tips are added up to make that $7.25 minimum. And if they don't make that $7.25 minimum, then the restaurant has to then pay those prices in order to get it there. On West Coast states like Oregon, California, Washington, the wait staff is paid a full wage, and then tips are a bonus on top of that. They are still taxed for those tips, but that is a big part of it. Now, while DoorDash had previously stood by this policy under withering criticism, it would appear the company is finally just had enough. So Xu tweeted out here saying, after a year of research and conversations with thousands of Dashers, we built a pay model to prioritize transparency, consistency of earnings, and to ensure all customers get their food as fast as possible. But it's clear from the recent feedback that we didn't strike the right balance. We thought we were doing the right thing by making Dashers whole when a customer left no tip. What we missed was that customers who did tip would feel like their tip did not matter. Here's the deal, though. In many cases, like majority of cases, people actually tip. Like they actually tip more often than not. So it is paying out DoorDash a lot more. Besides, what's the fee for going to the going through the DoorDash delivery? You know, like what do you pay extra to go through them? That shouldn't that be going to part of the driver service as well? But it's insane. Going forward, we're changing the model. The new model will ensure that Dasher's earnings will increase by the exact amount a customer tips on every order. We will have specific details in coming days. Customer obsession and getting 1% better every day are core values at DoorDash. These beliefs have led us to improve in the past, and they will serve as our guide in the future. And then I do like this next little bit here. Notably absent from the thread is any contrition for its practice of ripping off its underpaid labor force. It's also unclear whether Zhu's statistic that DoorDash average contribution of Dashers stayed the same since it started pocketing portions of tips in 2017, including the pocketed tips as part of the DoorDash's contribution. They rip you off constantly. So if you use DoorDash, be sure to tip. Don't tip right away. Tip after the fact. Tip once they're done, or tip in cash, and that's going to be a good one too. There's another weird thing I heard about DoorDash where you can do an option to pay in cash when the driver delivers your food. And that's a weird one. I heard about it. I don't know anyone who's actually done it. And it's just one of those things where it's like, that's a weird one because it gets taken out of your base pay for the week because you were already paid in cash, but it's not communicated to the driver that that is how they're being paid. And it comes across as being more of a tip. Again, the way that DoorDash operates is absolutely terrible for companies and for drivers. My favorite thing about DoorDash is that they don't. You have to, for one, if you want to drive, you have to schedule your time because they only allow for so many drivers on at any given time. So you have to schedule it, and if you don't schedule it, I think at midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's hard to get on. And then it's a weird thing in that regard. So people are left stuck on DoorDash, even on slow nights, because they don't want to jump over to Postmates or Grubhub or Uber simply because they're afraid that they might miss out on something. And if you go to pause your dash because you have to go to the bathroom or something else, they give you a 35-minute break per scheduled dash. That's it. So if you usually do like a 2-hour dash, if somehow it extends to like 4 or 5 hours, you are still only on that 35-minute break. The system is absolutely terrible. It's a very bad platform, but it does pay better than Uber Eats, which is why people keep doing it. It's crazy. Anyway, this was just something I had to share because I felt that that's great. I like to see these companies realize that they're screwing over people and that people are finding out about it. And that's how things get better, is by people talking about it. So if you've used DoorDash, let me know if this is a new revelation for you. If you drive DoorDash, let me know if this actually makes you feel better about driving the company. And if you want me to continue reading you the news like a lazy ass, be sure to thumbs up the video, subscribe, and check back out for more content from me. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.